Project Save Survivors Against Violence efforts, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping survivors of violent crimes, but we specialize in sexual and domestic violence. Providing therapeutic services, so we provide yoga, acro yoga, meditation services, therapy, paraspecialing, anything that you can think of that may be considered unconventional, we'll try it. And I guess we'll get into a little more about what kind of started the organization, and what kind of took me there.
Well, you know what? I'm anxious to know right now. I noticed that a lot of people tend to gravitate to a field that they are familiar and or close to. I've never done that. I've been in. I try to tell people, don't put me on a pedestal, because I do the inspiration every day, and I have a hard time getting people to understand that I'm just like them.
Right.
I literally am. I smile, but you just don't know that behind this smile, there's a lot. So I've endured a lot. I just mask it so well with this smile. And then over a period of time, I've learned to let a lot go, which means I'm allowed to smile a little bit more genuinely. But do tell, why this of all the things? And she smiles. And she smiles, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I'm going to tell you again. The child is over. Tony. She is.
So I graduated high school 2013. And graduating high school, I was in the nursing field. That's what I wanted to do. I just knew that I was going to be a nurse practitioner specializing in pediatrics. So I started out actually at Temple University, and got really sick like my freshman year. And I couldn't keep up with the classes because I was in and out of the hospital, and I just had a lot of other stuff going on. So taking a break from college and everything, trying to get it together, I endured a sexual assault. And with that sexual assault, it was done by a friend, someone I believe to be a friend.
Right.
And basically what happened was the police did nothing. I went to do a rape kit. They did nothing. And they just kind of turned a blind eye to it. So I wanted to get help, because I knew obviously that I couldn't go on and just be like how I was. I was very depressed. I was very isolated from my friends, from my family. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And I reached out to a free organization in Philadelphia who had a waiting list. I was on that waiting list for 6 to 7 months. Yeah. So within that time period of waiting, I really got discouraged and was like, why am I even doing this? Why am I out here trying to make sense of all of this? In that period of time, I was very vulnerable. I met a guy who, of course, said all of the right things. I'm back in school trying to focus on school, and he's saying all of these things, but he's noticing that I'm not who I really am. He took advantage of that, and December started abusing me. So December 2015 started abusing me. And I was like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
It can't be. I'm not even 21 yet. What's going on?
It's like a dream.
It's like a dream. And I always said I would never do it. I always said, if a guy hit me, I'm hitting him back.
Yep.
My mom taught me hit somebody back, so that's what I'm going to do.
Yep.
And that didn't happen. It kept happening. And a couple of times it was very close to death. And I had to have that wake up call to be like, this isn't how I want to die. I don't want to die at the hands of somebody that says they care about me or, want to see me do good. So I had to walk away. Thank God I only walked away with scars and bruises. But in that meantime, a lot of the signs that were there, people that were close to me saw it. So they would say certain things, but I was very defensive, no, it's not happening, because I was in denial that I was being abused, being under 21, being a young girl, just having to go through my sexual assault. Now I'm having to go through a domestic violence situation. I kind of felt like I wasn't worthy enough of getting help a second time. But after all of that, I realized I was in counseling at this time, and I wasn't telling my counselor everything. I was hiding the fact that this abuse was going on. So I decided to turn all of that pain, turn all that anger into helping more people, because I just couldn't sit around and be like, I'm just going to have my friends out here or loved ones out here going through this type of abuse, and it's not a place that kind of has it all in one. So my overall goal with Project Save is to be a one-stop center where we deal with all types of violent crimes in one center, where we have the psychiatrist, where we have the psychotherapist, where you can go if you don't want to do any of that. You can go and do yoga for an hour and it all be free. All of our services are currently free and open to men, women, and children.
It's very interesting. Because I hear you. I had one of those mothers that was, you know what, I did both.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, I did what was done to me. So I bullied. I bullied, and then I didn't know I was being bullied until, because that wasn't the N word when I was coming up. And I was raised in the 60s, so we didn't have that word. I don't even know if there was a word, but I just knew my mother. So I never had that issue with my mother saying, if somebody hit you, hit them back. But I guess indirectly. But I do remember, being in that situation. And I hear it all the time because, it's like, yeah, if somebody hit me, I'm going to do this. But then when it came full circle, I did the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to tell people to get out.
Mm-hmm.
I had a relative that made a post on Facebook, and I didn't comment. I didn't know how to comment because I didn't know where she was coming from. I didn't know what family member she was talking about, and I didn't want to, do a combative. In my mind, we're going to go back and forth. So I said, no, I'll keep it to myself. But it's so easy to tell people, get out. Just get out. If you've never been in that situation, if you've never done drugs, it's so easy to tell somebody, oh, just stop.
Yep.
It's so easy to tell somebody, you put the food down. It's so easy to tell people stop gambling. It's so easy when that's not what you're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to tell somebody, but it's harder to digest it and to follow.
Right.
So I endured it for a lot. And it took a lot for me to say, it took me a very long time to forgive. And when I had to sit down with myself and reflect on everything that I allowed to happen, and once I realized I allowed it to happen, that's when I was able to say, I forgive you. Because no one forced me, no one beat me, no one put a gun in my head and said, you're going to stay in this relationship. I chose because I thought, hey, this person loves me. This is how they show love. I know that's not love, but you know what? I don't want nobody else to take them, because what's going to happen is they're going to change, and I want them to change.
For you.
Yeah, I want them. And I invested so much, but that's not love.
No.
Love doesn't physically beat you. Love beats you with their heart. Their heart beats your heart that makes your heart say, oh my gosh.
Right.
And that's love. But how do you get people to understand where we are coming from? How do you get someone who's in that relationship right now to understand that where they are is not healthy?
So I think what I had to come through and what I see within the organization is that meeting people where they are and working backwards from there can make them totally change. So I had to see that I was worthy of not being hit on. I had to see that I was worthy of having somebody really care for me, and whether it was a relationship or not, that wasn't healthy for me. I tell people all the time, at the end of the day, you don't want someone that tells you they care about you and can't show that they care about you. He was, saying, yo, Arlena, you're this and that. And then 5 minutes later, it turned into Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I never seen it before. Throwing things, doing, and I'm and I knew it. I knew it was wrong. This isn't normal. But me being in my position already, I couldn't help him. I wanted to help you, but I couldn't. And I tell people, you can't put more on you than you can even bear.
Right.
That damage that somebody else has, it's not yours to carry. Now, you can care about a person, you can try to help them, but you just have to, love them from a distance. When that behavior starts coming, overpowering you, it's not worth it. Yeah. You have to walk away.
It's not. and again, it took me a minute because I was young when all that happened. Um, uh, but it does our thinking is we're females and we're nurturing. You know what? I can get that person to change. I can talk to them, or maybe if I didn't, and we come up with these excuses.
Yeah.
We try to rationalize what's going on, not realizing that rationalization is not like you said. Putting on more than what you can. Like, hey, I'm trying to maintain. Like I'm in this happy
Mhm.
relationship when I'm getting knocked out.
Yeah.
And that's not that. It's not a beautiful feeling, especially if you have children, and it's not healthy.
No.
But your organization, how did you get into this organization?
I knew that I couldn't go and make money off of someone's pain.
Right.
If I wanted to be a nurse, they taught us in nursing school, like, you have compassion, you have empathy for people. Sometimes these aren't your situations, but you can understand where these people are coming from. Taking that knowledge and taking everything I learned from, like, that experience at nursing school, I then went to Westchester University, where I started studying, like, psychology and health science, and learning about all, like, how we think and how we process things. It was like, like, I can really help somebody. But when I started talking to people, I kind of was being like a hypocrite to my own word. I'm telling my friends, like, this situation not good for you, this and that. And the whole entire time, I really want to go and do yoga or acro yoga, and I'm too scared to go try those little things. And they were just little things to help me start healing. So I started going to acro yoga, and once I started going to acro yoga, I'm like, which acro yoga, I should explain,
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
acrobats and like yoga, and it has like Thai massage. It's really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 'cause what is that? I
Like
know
you,
yoga, but I tried one time. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Acro yoga is like you being flipped up in the air and type. It's really fun, but it teaches you trust. So those little things I was starting to do, and I'm like, I want to actually help people. I want to have a long term effect on the system, not just a person. They're sick in this one day, and then maybe you don't see them next day. And it's no like shade to nurse. I have a best friend that's a nurse, but I wanted to do it like change the system actually. So I thought of creating a nonprofit, creating systems that we can break down. So working it through education, advocacy. We talk on mental health a lot at the org because that's a big issue that comes up after trauma. And all of these things kind of just came together. Then after one idea came another idea. I knew that like sometimes therapy works for some people, it doesn't work for everyone.
yeah,
So we want to do a lot of different things that people can get involved in. Community events. If you like meditation and you believe in your chakras, then here you are. These are the things that you can do for yourself, and it doesn't have to cost you any type of money. Why am I making money off of your pain? You didn't have to go through that, and you did. So now you're in a place where you want to heal, and I'm going to say, oh, I'm going to charge you $20 to come do this. What's the point? Am I really helping you? No.
well, I don't look at it like uh, making money off somebody's paint. Like we gotta make a living.
Hmm.
I guess as long as you're doing it within reason,
Right.
you're not charging somebody some skyrocketing fees. Whew, then okay. But now your Save project, your project Save Philadelphia, where is that located?
So we don't have an exact like standpoint building,
Okay.
but we are very thankful for Studio 34 at 4522 Baltimore Avenue, who allows us to use their space when we have events, when we have classes for like yoga. We've had back in March we had like a African drum and dance class where they came out, they brought like drums, they had like a laughing yoga part. It was just an overall experience, and everyone enjoyed that class, and it was free.
Gotcha.
So in the summertime, we're able to kind of move around the city a little more and have it outdoors at different parks. But usually we're at Studio 34 hosting our events.
Okay. All right. Now, how many people, how many staff members do you have for this?
So right now we're short staffed.
Ah.
But we have a lot of volunteers that like help out when we have events and stuff. We have a director, but she's sick right now. Shout out to Mary. Um, but she's the director of domestic violence advocacy prevention. And then we have a board of directors, and then we have volunteers that kind of work out with like program guides, or like if we're doing like a workshop, or if we do like mental health talks. We just had a mental health talk in October.
Now, what is your like on an average? What is the traffic that comes through on an average?
Hmm.
If you can break down like women, women
Oh,
with children.
okay. So in those terms, majority of our clients have been women.
Okay.
I don't think we've ever had a male client. Um, Half of those women have been women with children.
Now, when you say you don't believe, is there like some sort of, in your eyes, some sort of a stigma attached to men not wanting to come to your or a facility?
I think men have a stigma because they're taught from a young age to be masculine. Letting a woman beat on you isn't seen as being masculine. You're letting a woman who is seen to be weaker than you beat on you. With this type of idea, you then have men who allow things to happen. Like more than 40% of domestic violence cases are men actually being abused, but you will never really hear about it because men aren't going to say, "Hey, I'm one of those guys that are being abused." So with that, they then kind of go and they probably will start perpetuating the violence against other people.
Right.
Because once you don't kind of learn something, you do it again and you do it again until someone's like, "No, that's wrong. You know,
gotta
this is the
break
right
that
way of
cycle.
doing right, breaking the cycle." But it's a stigma of asking for help for men. We don't want to be seen as weak.
Let me ask you, because you said breaking the cycle. Interesting. How did you, within yourself, break a cycle?
I spoke up. A lot of sexual assault cases aren't reported for very reasons. We've seen it when a lot of the
Bill
cases we're not going to name, but a lot of the cases were going on in the last couple of months, and people were like, you don't tell things like that, or you don't do this. And these men or these people were able to get away with it for so long because no one was reporting it. When I reported mine, even though it was against someone who had a lot more pull than me, I just had to do it. And even though it was like a backlash with it,
Right.
I had to still stand on what I believed in. Sitting in a hospital dealing with nurses that I want to be like one day and telling me like it didn't happen. You go home and you wash up
Yeah.
and let it go. It's like,
Did you just say that?
yeah.
Yeah.
You walk out the hospital and you're just like, no, that's not right. And then you start kind of really thinking
Believing
that
it. Yeah.
that's how you're supposed to do it. Like, you're not supposed to tell. And then I actually blame myself for telling because I feel like I did
The
more
guilt.
damage.
Yeah.
I did more damage by telling than just being quiet. But you don't do more damage that way. You break that cycle.
It's interesting that you actually. I did. I know I lost some friends. Not a lot, but I know I lost some friends on social media because of the Bill Cosby thing. I wound up bumping heads, and I called a person to make sure I wasn't reading what I was reading, and I read it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was people were taken up for Bill Cosby. So what I did was I don't know Bill Cosby. I wound up meeting someone who is a lawyer, lives literally right next door to
Mm-hmm.
Bill Cosby. So I wound up being in his neighborhood, very nice neighborhood. So that was about as close to Bill Cosby.
Mm-hmm.
But my pet peeve was the stereotypes that came along with justifying the rape. These ladies were ugly. So, in other words, only beautiful ladies, pretty ladies deserve to be raped. This happened so long ago, and now with the recent priests that are coming up, this is old news. What happens was, like I tried to stress that what happens was it was that one person. That's all it took was that one
Mm-hmm.
person in your case that said, I was raped. And you go to you do the whole procedure. You go get the rape kit. They get some evidence. They break it to court. And then what happens is, as I was trying to tell people, my job as a lawyer is to discredit you the best I can.
Right.
I mean, I'm bringing up everything in your. When I'm done, I want the juror to look at you and forget all about, because they're going to be like, well, wait a minute, who are we here for?
Yeah.
Well, who's that person sitting next to the lawyer? We. That's my job. So here's the thing: there's somebody that's coming right behind that person, and when they see how you're being treated in court, their first thought is, I don't want to do right. I don't want to do it. I'm not coming forward. So you have to try to be in that mindset. And people who have never saw, what I did was I put it on Facebook and I said, to the men, if you've never been, and even if you've never been raped, you'll never understand. Depending on how people took that. But again, I say this, and I'm pretty sure you can collaborate with this. If you've never been in that situation, it's so easy. You don't. You're thinking, hey, you know what? No, time may have lapsed because I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. The guilt game comes along, like it's me, And then, like with the nurse, well, maybe it did. Well, then you start doubting.
Maybe she right.
Maybe she right. Maybe I didn't.
She was there.
Yeah, she. Maybe it wasn't so much she was there, but maybe she knows something I don't know.
Right.
So then it's like, well, maybe I don't want to. But you took the courage. You did the one step forward to say, no, it did happen, and yes, I'm going to move forward with it, and you did, and congratulations on you.
Thank you.
But how do you get other women? Matter of fact, how do you get men as well to come forward and say, you know what, it happened, and I'm going to go move forward?
I always think of it as a time thing. So again, with the Bill Cosby situation, women came years later to some people and said, it's for money, or he's about to buy, what was it, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And they use that as a reason. But it's a time thing that you have to understand. You have to come to grips before you can even say anything to anyone else about it. When you are ready to talk about it, and then you have to go maybe make a police report, or you have to do like a rape kit, or whatever the case may be, you have to kind of be ready for what comes after that. Because when I went to go do mine, they told me, this not SVU. Don't think of it. And I'm sitting in the hospital being like, okay, like I didn't think that this was TV, but okay. And they're like, it's going to take 2 years. It's been past 2 years. We're going on year 4, and I still haven't heard anything. So it's a time thing with people. Rape kits do sit on backlogs.
Yeah.
Years of backlogs of rape kits. And sometimes you don't get that justice from the court system. But it's a justice within yourself to speak up for yourself and say, you know what, I didn't deserve this, and I'm going to stand up and maybe talk for someone that can't talk. Maybe they didn't make it out. Maybe their situation is like really got them down that they don't even want to speak about it. So I'm going to be that beacon of light for them. And that's just how I encourage people to come up. Like, whenever you're ready, we tell people at the org, whenever you're ready, we're here for you. It's no time. We don't allow, say, 6 weeks. You have 6 weeks, and then you're out of the org.
Right.
No, you can go there for how many, if we around, you around type of ideal. And that's just how we kind of operate. Because the reason why I said about the free situation was because a lot of times if you go through insurance, you have to be in within a code. And I don't ever want to go through insurance because, after about 6 months, you got to go. And then it's like, what if you're not really fully capable, that you feel like you're fully capable of being out there by yourself without talking to a therapist or talking to a music therapist or whoever you may be talking to? Who are we to say that you're fixed?
Right.
You're healed.
Yeah.
Not me.
It's I mean, I get the insurance. I get the insurance part, it's a money thing. It's a financial. I get that. But, and I'm not saying all, there are sympathetic people within the industry, but I don't think they totally get it.
No.
I get the money part. I do. But at some point, human life supersedes money. all the time. Now, your organization, um, because you said you are understaffed, like, how do you get your how would somebody, that says, hey, you know what, I want to come and help in any means, volunteering, writing a check, how would they reach out, get to you?
Through our website, we're very heavy on like social media. So our social media is Project Save Philly on Instagram. It's P Save Philly on Twitter, and through Facebook is Project Save Sexual Abuse and Domestic Crisis Center. Through our website, it's projectsavephilly.com, and through there is different ways of getting in contact. I always give out my personal number if I have which can be a very big
Yes,
thing.
yes.
But we also have another number outside of my personal number.
Yes.
But sometimes when I meet people in there, and we're passing by and they might say something, it's like, all right, I want to kind of have you on this connect, feel like
Right.
I understand you, so here you go. And I also set boundaries with my phone too. But they're the ways to kind of get involved. Sometimes we're at table events coming up and talking to us. We don't bite. We're very nice. And that's how we do it. But I'm thankful for everyone who's ever worked with Project Save, because they had something about them. They knew that it was people out there that needed help, and they saw that and was like, I believe in your mission. Because this all came from a dream. Like, all of this is now reality, but it came
Right.
literally from a dream. So I'm thankful for people believing in that dream and saying, I see your vision. I want to help you with it. I want to help build it.
That's kind of interesting that you say that, because a lot of people don't see another person's vision. It's like, hey, if it's not about mine, if you can't see me, if you can't help mine, then I'll holler at you later. And I'm at such a young age, I laugh, but you're what, the millennial?
Millennial.
Yeah, those people. Yeah, the M people. Yes. And it's interesting to see you taking a stand at such a young age, having to go through, a horrific time. Like, that was really, like I said, if you've never been through it, it's so easy to tell people to get out. Oh, maybe it didn't happen. That reverse psychology. That's for the birds. But I really commend you for, standing up, pursuing it, and then not even doing that, but just taking it a little bit further and saying, hey, you know what? Because you could have went on and pursued something else, but you turned it around and decided to say, hey, I'm going to take what was done to me to help others. And believe it or not, that's a blessing, because there are going to be a lot of ladies and some men, if we can just get them to understand that it's not a macho thing. You won't lose your masculinity, and it's not an ego thing. And this is 2018, and you know what, right about now, we're not pointing fingers.
No.
That's the thing. We got to get people to understand that we're no longer pointing fingers at those who've been hurt.
No.
We are actually looking at the perpetrator.
Yeah.
But,
It's
I got a man that calls and says, hey, I need some help, but I don't know how to, and I'm embarrassed. How do you get these men to come and...
You tell me how much you want me to know. We have a conversation, you tell me that, and actually this conversation actually has happened. It was an older gentleman I was having a conversation with, and he came out and said, I was in a marriage, and my wife was abusing me. And I'll admit, at first, this is before the word kind of really got off its feet, and I was sitting on the phone, and I was like, he can be my dad, first of all, but his courage to sit up here and say, you know what, this happened to me. I'm not letting it break me. I'm in therapy. I'm in some type of treatment to help me help other people. That was strong enough for me. I let him know his courage was right there. Whether you wanted to go forward with the organization, whether you wanted to have any type of situation, whatever the case may be, you speaking up and just acknowledging that it happened was courage enough. Once we have that conversation, the conversation keeps flowing. We keep talking about it. We keep talking about, okay, well, what happened? What kind of perpetuated you to think that this was okay? What happened in childhood? Because a lot of times it comes from childhood. We see our parents being beat on, and then we think, all right, it's not going to happen to us, and then it happens to us. And then you kind of have this whole idea that, I know what to do. And in reality, you freeze. You might start fighting back or whatever the case may be. but it's not from what you really thought was going to happen. And we just have those open conversations where you tell me what you want me to know. We go from there. I build trust with you because I'm just a stranger at the end of the day. You know, I'm coming out to your house, talking to you, and you telling me what you want me to know, and then I leave at the end of the day. And sometimes it just takes one person to listen.
Yeah.
And then they start thinking, like, all right, it is one person out there that will listen to me, that will hear what I got to say. They didn't call me a coward. They didn't say you was less of a man because you let this woman beat on you. They understand me. I'm not a man, but I understand his journey. I understand his courage. It takes a lot.
Yeah, it does.
A lot.
It really, it does. And I go back to what you said, you know, how we teach our young men, I call them young men because they eventually will be. We tell them constantly that society tells them constantly that, you know, boys don't cry. That's a lie. That's what them tear ducts are for. You know, suck it up.
Facts.
You know, get over it. Yeah, suck it up, get over it. You know, it's no. And what you're doing is you're denying them the rights to be a human, to grasp and know what. Because if they don't know how to deal with their feelings when they're young, they won't know how to deal with them when they get older.
Yes.
So here's my thing, because all I reflect on is what was told to me when I was a child. We don't do this. We don't do that. So what can I do?
Right.
What can they do? What they don't know anything else to do. They don't know what to do because you've stripped them of everything they're supposed to be doing, which is to live as a human.
Like we were taught that, you know, it's wrong that like it's really bad to be angry. And I didn't learn that, to be honest with you, that it was okay to be angry until probably 2 years ago. That all of my feelings that I was feeling about my trauma was valid. All of the feelings that I had towards people who have wronged me in the past was valid.
Right.
I just had to acknowledge it. So all of these things that we're taught from being young and, you know, you don't do this or you don't do that, it is a cycle that we have to break. Because if we don't break it, it then becomes for your children, children, your other children, and it's not right. We got to break the cycle.
Yeah, we have got to break the cycle. We do. Now, you did have an upcoming event, so we missed that one.
Yes.
So do you have any future events that you would like to share with the community? You know.
So every first Friday of each month, we do either a movie night, we do an art activity, a music activity, some type of activity that we use at the organization for private clients, and we just bring it to the community. Everything is always free. It's always probably at Studio 34 unless the weather would like to get nice in the middle of December. But outside of that, that's pretty much what we do. Because next month is December, we'll be probably focusing on a lot of volunteer work, doing some work at like some shelters and things like that. So it's always good to like check up on our Instagram and things like that.
Okay. All right. Well, once again, share with our audience how they can get in contact with you. You know, hey, you know what? I need help to volunteering.
Yes. So you can always call or text. It's 484-450-6438. Again, that number is 484. I
know we kind of know.
650-6438. You can also hit us up on social media. Project Save Philly is our Instagram handler. Twitter is PSavePhilly. And then our Facebook is Project Save Sexual Abuse and Domestic Violence Crisis Center.
Okay. Well, you heard it. I appreciate you coming out here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Thank you for sharing at 23. Wait a minute. I had to do a live and let everybody know that she is over 21. Yeah. Yeah, she's not a teeny bopper. She is over the age of 21, ladies and gentlemen. I guarantee you that one. I didn't check her ID. I looked her dead in the eyes. I was like, look at me. I mean, let me see. I synced it. So I synced it with a T. NT. So that's how you know it's the truth when you synced it. I synced it Yeah. But I appreciate you coming on here. I
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. I hope your partner gets, feels better.
Thank you.
And you got to come back, and
Yes.
share, some more about your program with us. But we going to take a pause for the cause, and we come back. We're going to set up for our next guest. We got a couple of judges coming in from they're coming in from Texas. These were 19 African American females, all between Harris and Houston, Texas, and all 19 of these black females, ranking in various parts of the judicial system, actually won. So we have two that will be coming on uh, Philly Hot. Yeah. So in the meantime, in between time, we're going to take a pause for the cause and we'll be back.